just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend.
And what is this for? Why? Oh my God. Oh my God, faces I haven't seen forever. My name is Mrs. Bell or Mrs. B.
Ma Bell.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Come on in, we have a
I figured it out. I have come in contact with 51 years of teaching. So, if 18,000 want to be my friend, I'll work the room, I promise. I think you probably. Oh my Lord.
There you go.
Well, my name is Stacy Kelly, and I'm so grateful for everybody to be here this morning and for joining us and making my day and being here for Ma Bell. And I'm just very pleased and thankful for everybody that's here. And Frank as well. Ma Bell, we just love you so much, and we just wanted to make sure you knew that. Well, I'm going to start out with Pat Payne, and he has some great things to start out with.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's such an honor to be here. I was in one of Ma Bell's last classes. I was class of '97, and yeah, it's a very special day to honor a woman who touched so many lives. Not obviously small, just a very small portion of which is with us today. Obviously, thank you to Kelly and Stacy for making all of this happen. I'm honored to have been asked to be part of this and MC this event.
Watch your eyes.
Thank you. There's actually a part in here about being judged for this. Because of course, as we all know, Ma Bell had a profound influence on all of us, and I certainly am one of those people. And I'm so excited to get to share a little bit about my story and also introduce some others who will share one common theme of the love of a teacher, a friend, a confidant, and an amazing human being. To put into perspective the reach of Miss Jackie Bell, she's getting ready to celebrate 51 years of teaching, mostly with the same district, obviously Adams School 50. The schools include Clear Lake. Do we have any Clear Lake kids here?
Yeah.
All right, I think this one will be a big one. South Mall? All right, that's a South Mall. And then, of course, finally, Random High School. And of course, she's now gone on to sub at the new Westminster High School. She officially retired in 1996. However, as her daughter Julie says, she's been going ever since and has spent a lot of time subbing over at the Adams 50 schools. I once asked Mom, why does she keep subbing after all these years of teaching? Enjoy a retired life. And she said, and her answer was fast and simple. Patrick, she said, I just love the kids. A teacher has the ability to deeply affect their students and profoundly shape their lives. but few have the ability that Jackie Bell has to make an impact that shapes us those many years ago and still continues to guide our every move today. Now, I know many of you have had Ma Bell's speech class, and I'm sure you're taking notes, and if it's anything like the class, I'm assuming we'll be discussing my speech after we're done. But if you remember the idea of free thinking, the idea of writing an idea down as it comes to your mind and starting that to build your speech, I sort of did that with this. So I came up with 3 things that kind of exemplify Mom to me. First one is setting examples. And the second is the knowledge given to us that didn't always come from a textbook. And the third one is unconditional love. So those are the 3 common themes that I think you're going to be hearing a lot of today. And to kick us off, we're going to hear from kind of the person that was behind all of this. And we're going to go ahead and have Stacey Kelly come up. She was a graduate of 91 at Random. She now has 4 kids and she's a full-time mom. I asked her what to sum up in one word, Ma Bell, and without pausing, she simply said inspiration. Stacey?
Wow, I'm just floored with all your lovely people. And thank you for coming. My name is Stacey Kelly, and my maiden name is Lovato. So my brother's Jeff. And most people can remember at least one of their teachers who had a positive impact on their lives. Ma Bell, you are by far the most memorable teacher. I first learned how totally awesome you are from my brother, Jeff. He said, well, I remember him saying, she's fantastic, caring, and wonderful. And I was excited.
Coming from Jeff?
Coming from my brother. Oh my gosh. And I tried to get him here, and he's on a trip, so he's a little stubborn that way. But he gives you his love too. I look forward to being in one of your classes. You have been a part of so many aspects of our school, too many to mention. So I will only share with you my favorite. It was a real privilege to be a student in your speech class. Oh my goodness, the things that I accomplished. I learned to speak to large groups of people. I'm not doing very well now. A little rusty, need some oil. I dared to be silly with the 3 little pigs speech that you made me do, and the skits, the silly things, and the many monologues I had to give. I want to thank you for helping with the school plays and the musicals, and the talent shows, and such wonderful memories. Above and beyond, my most favorite memory was your love and support that you brought to the Teenagers Against Drugs group, TAD. The time that you dedicated to our group was very much appreciated. It seems like everywhere I turned, there was Ma Bell's smiling face. You helped with many youth conferences, giving your most valuable time for others. So wonderful. At one of the conferences, we all participated in sending warm fuzzies, and you'll see those on the table. And you take them home with you and share them with each other. There are many types of warm fuzzies that we would give to each other, the little balls and the fluffy things. Even sometimes we'd pass around cotton balls, and you give a cotton ball to a friend and you give them a hug. Actually, one of my first warm fuzzies were from Ma Bell saying, "Reach for the stars." So I did, trying to. And I didn't mind the ones from the boys too, but yours was pretty cool with boys. Okay. Ma Bell, I want to thank you for your devotion and influence you have had on my life. And my first thank you to you is to give you the biggest warm fuzzy I could find.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Everybody here probably knows Mrs. Bell was a member of Holy Trinity forever, probably still is. And so I had the opportunity to have her sing at my wedding. And now I've been divorced for 8 years, so thanks a lot, Mrs. Bell. late in my senior year, I had to do a lip sync, which I think we probably all had to do. I'm not one who gets embarrassed easily. And to this day, I'm still embarrassed about the performance I put on that day. So again, Mrs. B, thank you. And I think probably in the life of every teacher at some point, you hope that you made a difference, or you hope that you will make a difference, or that you did make a difference. You made a difference. A huge impact. Thank you.
Amazingly enough, one of the first lessons I learned is make sure you write things down. So thankfully for iPads, I've got mine right here. I'm here like all of you because Mrs. Bell was an inspiration and a motivator in my life. This speech is not emotional, so I shouldn't be getting emotional. 20 years ago, you spoke at my Eagle Scout Court of Honor. And it was one of those moments where it changes the way you even look at yourself. So if I can do half that justice today, I'll feel really great. Thank you. Above all else, I learned two things I need to be thankful to you for. First, you encouraged everybody to try and not to fear failure. Not a single one of us was born a public speaker. In fact, maybe one of the hardest things to do is get up in front of your classmates and talk. Ridicule is a tough thing sometimes, and nobody's that great at it. The thing is, the first time I gave a speech, I remember almost throwing up. But I remember looking to the back of the room and getting this quiet wink and nod, like Kenny said, this little encouragement that says, you know what, you're going to get through this. You're going to make it no matter what, and we'll deal with the results later. Maybe I have to be most thankful for that encouragement because, shoot, I now have a part-time career talking. Amazingly enough, thank you very much for putting me on that path. You know, it is ironic. I've spoken in front of thousands at the Capitol. I've spoken in front of who knows how many during my radio show. Yet, coming here today, I still knew I was going to get that little fear right here. That little feeling that, hey, wow, this is a big deal. And it took me a while to think about why that was. Once again, I'm the student speaking in front of the master. So thank you. Mrs. Bell, thank you for giving so much of yourself. As Stacy mentioned, whether it was student council, whether it was TAD, whether it was speech, whether it was debate, whether it was the musicals, you can go on and on and on. You gave a whole heck of a lot of yourself. And it's a huge pleasure to have been able to speak. For those who weren't here, and I had a lot of people say, are you going, are you going? And it's been a huge pleasure to have Stacy ask me. It was an honor to have Stacy ask me to speak today. I was a little bit surprised. I'm very happy she did. For those who couldn't make it, and for those of us who are here, let me just say one last word. Bravo.
We're going to have Carrie Martinez come up, and she is from the South Mall. She graduated in '88, and she too talked about your inspiration and everything like that, and she is going to read a letter from Vivo for you. So, Carrie?
We don't just need more teachers like Jackie Bell. We need more human beings like Jackie Bell. I never had the privilege of being in one of Jackie's classes, but to this day, even 18 years after I graduated, I still think of her whenever speech class or drama class is mentioned. Every single one of you who had her for speech, drama, or any class for that matter, know how much of an impact Ma Bell had on us all. What I am astounded by is this positive influence has impacted students from the 70s, 80s, 90s through today. That's more than 4 decades of lives that have been touched by this amazing woman. She is a character who brings a smile to our faces, who knows how to have a sense of humor on life, and in return teaches us to laugh at ourselves. A very important lesson. Her humanity simply envelopes us all. You just want to be around her. It just feels good to have her in your life. We all know how difficult it is to meet people who exude this comfort, probably because there are so few people who live their lives as honestly as Jackie does. So I feel lucky to have met her over 20 years ago. Your honesty, your humanity inspires me to live my life in the same manner, to be incredibly honest with myself in all aspects of life, thus being honest with others, and to challenge everyone in my life to do the same. I actually did not realize it was you who blossomed this attribute inside of me until I got to this point in my speech. I was only aware of this positive glow inside me when I think of you, but to finally put it in words, I realized the full impact you have in my life. My eyes well up with tears as this epiphany is hitting me, because this attribute is a major part of who I am and something I hope to pass on to my daughter in the same manner you have passed on to me. You are simply an inspiration to us all. I am so grateful to have this privilege, that all of us have this privilege today, to tell you how much we love you and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making a real difference in our lives.
You know, I gotta say, when I was in high school, some of you may remember me, I was really skinny. I had this excess of hair going on that did nothing. I didn't have this little patch of facial hair. But when my Belle walked in here today, she walked over and said, "Jerry, it's so good to see you." She still recognized me, even though I haven't seen her in many years, and that's very amazing. So, now, what can I say about Jackie Belle that hasn't been said or won't be said? Did you know I was never actually officially in her class? Every day, 4th hour, I was right there in the speech and debate class. There are people that would say that I was there for the food runs. That's not true. That's not why I was there. The thing is, though, whether you were in her classroom or in her hallway, if you spoke to her, she taught you. Usually life lessons, or my favorite lesson, the Polish lips never leave the Polish face. Even though her class was speech and debate, at least the one I sat in on, Mrs. Bell specialized in teaching students to be respectful and live up to their potential. So see, it wasn't all about the food runs. And it wasn't just in school that Ma Bell took students under her wing. She actually invited Pat and I to midnight mass and a few other functions at the church. They were all memorable and enjoyable. I do remember when we agreed to go to that midnight mass, though. Pat wasn't sure it was a good idea. He thought he was going to burst into flame upon stepping into the church. Now, what kind of mass would that make? In the end, he did go, and he had a great time. And we got to see an amazing performance that night. I believe that Miss Bell was part of the reason that Pat went on to do what he does. He is very successful in the theater business. He's a director, producer. And if you haven't seen his shows, you should go check them out. Mrs. Bell, you are the best teacher that I have ever known. I went to school in Dodds. For those that don't know, that's the military school system, Army bases around the world. So I have met a lot of teachers over the years. None of them cared about their students the way you care about yours. It is a privilege to be here honoring you today. There isn't much in this world that is better than showing someone how much you appreciate them, and that is what we're doing. I am showing you how much I appreciate you, how thankful I am for having met you. Even if I wasn't officially in your class, I can still say I learned from you. I want to thank Vi, Carrie, Stacy, and Tara for giving me the chance to stand here in front of everyone and say, I love you, Mrs. Bell. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you have done.
We're going to take a trip back to 1977. That was a little before my time. And this gentleman was in your speech class in 1977 and then went on to be in the class of 82 from Random High School, Mr. Frank Lanford.
Hi, Mom. How are we doing? Great. We're all here to wish Ms. Bell a great day. As you said, I was in Ms. Bell's speech class in 1977. At that time I was a short, skinny little 13-year-old kid. Now I'm a short, heavy-set, middle-aged guy. But I still got it. Ms. Bell, of all the teachers that I ever had in my life, you were definitely one of them. In truth, everything I learned from this lady. Well, except for employment law and how to drive a car. But other than that, everything else I learned from Ms. Bell. I was in Ms. Bell's speech class in 1977. And during that time frame, we had what was called, first of all, this was Clear Lake Junior High School. And the Clear Lake's mascot was called the Cougars. So we had the Clear Lake's All-Star Cougar Review. This was a kind of a traveling show of sorts. She was emceeing it. And they knew me as Howie or Elvis. I did impressions back then. I don't do many anymore, but that's okay. One of the impressions I did was Howard Cosell. That's where I got the nickname Howie from. And a lot of people here probably don't remember Howard Cosell, so bear with me. Hello, this is Howard Cosell. I'm here today to recognize Ma Bell as one of the greatest teachers in the world. That's one of the things. The other one was Richard Nixon, which was one of her favorites, I believe. All political issues aside. Richard Nixon as a dishwasher.
Oh, jeez.
I can do that better now with the big jowls since I'm older. My fellow Americans, let me make this perfectly clear. Mrs. Bell is the greatest. She remembers that. Now, as I was saying earlier, I was at Clear Lake. We were known as the Cougars, although nowadays a cougar means something completely different. And Ma Bell was the original and best cougar of them all. At the completion of our little show that we had, the All-Star Cougar Review, all of the kids that participated in the show got a Cougar Award. What it was basically a pop bottle spray painted gold with some black construction paper. They made a head and a tail for the cougar, and that was our award. And I treasured that Cougar Award for years. I had it on my shelf even into my adulthood. I was in the military, so I moved many times. I don't know whatever happened to it, but that was something that I remember the most from those years as a 13-year-old kid in junior high school. What I'd like to do today is give one to this lady who deserves it more than any of us, 35 years late. Now, I would point out they don't make glass pop bottles anymore, so I had to improvise and use a bottle of wine. It's empty, sorry. I'd like to say it's a 1977 vintage bottle of Dom Perignon, but I'd be lying. It's more than likely a 2012 vintage bottle of Mad Dog 2020 or something like that. But on behalf of all your students from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, as Elvis would say, thank you very much.
Okay, so Mom, you might be wondering how all of this sort of came about. So that magic invention of Facebook, which everyone's trying to get you on, Stacy and Vivo were talking on Facebook about reunions and such, and they just decided that instead of doing a reunion, why don't we get together and do a big party for Ma Bell, and that's how all this was started. And then we got Julie and the girls involved. I came along, and here we are today. So maybe if that's any impotence to join Facebook, you now can, because now we're not planning anything. So we're going to invite Cindy Zimmerman up to say a few words. Cindy?
So, you know, I'm sitting back there and I'm just thinking of all these amazing things. And I'm going to get emotional. because we're all talking about Miss Bell in school, and I see her amazing, beautiful family. And the one thing that I think that people always know about Miss Bell is she's this amazing teacher, an amazing person. But outside of school, oh my gosh, over the last few years, life hasn't been easy. And Miss Bell has been there with me every step of the way. And I think one of my best memories of her, though it was one of the saddest memories, is a few years ago my mother was fighting an illness and she passed away. And her service was on April 26th. And Miss Bell came to the service and she held my hand and she hugged me and she told me how much she loved me. And I wanted her to know that my mom always knew that I was safe at school because my second mom was always there with me. 4 days later, Miss Bell lost her companion, Dave. And I was so amazed by the outpouring of love that she showed me and that her family showed me while they were struggling with their own sense of loss. And I didn't realize that day that my mom passed away, we had her funeral, that Miss Bell, that Dave was in the hospital struggling for his own life. And so it's just one of those things that when you look at this woman, yes, she was an amazing teacher, and I think that we've heard that today, but she's an amazing person and she's an amazing friend. And I can't thank you enough for being my mom when I was in school. From the freshman who got sent to Mr. Schumacher's class because I ditched Miss Bell's class. And I remember Mr. Schumacher tapping right here because he could do that back in the days. And then he set me back up and it wasn't Mr. Schumacher I was mortified of, it was Miss Bell. And she just looked at me with those knowing eyes and she said, "Will you ever do it again?" So, you know, that's who she was. And then, speaking of all the wonderful things with Holy Trinity, she takes me, I'm not Catholic, she takes me, and I work in the booth with her, and she takes me to World Youth Day, where the Pope is speaking, and I meet Father George and all these wonderful people, and she took me to the graduation mass, and she invited me to midnight mass, and I think she was trying to save my soul. I don't know if it happened or not. I do believe just that Catholicism. But anyway, so she was always just so wonderful and open. And then I do want to leave you with a funny thing because I was thinking about Miss Bell and just all of the things that she does and who she is and how she all makes us laugh. And there was 2 moments in high school that made me realize that she's probably the funniest person we will ever know. One of them is freshman English, Great Expectations, test, mortified, terrified, and if you see her classroom, her desk is in the back, so where she can face all of you, and you're facing the front, so you don't know what she's doing behind you. So we're all sitting there very diligently, taking our test, and we're terrified, and we're mortified, and in the corner, at the loudest, highest C ever known to man, Miss Bell goes, "Ah!" And we all went, "Oh my gosh!" And papers were flying everywhere. And she said, "You guys were just too serious." We survived that. And then 2 Halloweens later, which would be very politically incorrect these days, Miss Bell was standing outside of her classroom, and I said to her, "What are you for Halloween?" As she's standing there in a black trash bag with pieces of crumpled up paper all over her. And she said, "Well, honey, I'm white trash." So, this was the Miss Bell who made us laugh, who held us dear in times of sorrow and tragedy, who celebrated loss with all of us, and who made us remember who we are and where we came from. And Miss Bell, it's one of those things that you say when it's too late, and I'm so glad we're able to say it to you today. But we are all better people for having known you. Thank you so much for being in my life.
Sometimes you don't plan those kind of things, but that was actually a great segue into the next part of the program. As was mentioned, the one thing that always stands out about Mom Bell is the amount of love this woman has. Obviously, her love for her students has been made very evident. But if we're honoring this amazing woman, we certainly need to speak of the love for her family. Her 3 girls, Suzanne, Julie, and Alicia, the adorable grandbabies, Shannon and Megan, Jeff, and everyone else in the family. Dave. And I know Mom would be the first to tell us she wouldn't be where she is if not for the love and support of her amazing family.
And I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you've got a friend.